Alright, this is the last video for the Donkey Kong Country 3 Let's Plays. I won't be doing the bonus world with this Let's Play, if it wasn't obvious already. Our final world's Chaos Core. It doesn't really look anything like the map. It's actually pretty underwhelming as far as the final world goes. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the secret world was supposed to be the overwhelming one. Regardless, it does introduce this kind of new type of level that we haven't seen before. It's a lot like the jungle levels. Not in like structure, but just in terms of like how it looks like in Donkey Kong Country 2. It's like a really dense jungle, like slash forest. And, you know, as far as stages go, these are usually the hardest ones. It's kind of like the, oh, things are real now. Things are gonna start being real difficult because it's the final world. And it's got a main gimmick, obviously. It's these ropes that they're like conveyor belts, but they're ropes. So I guess they're conveyor ropes would be the best way to describe them. Also those hedgehogs that are like spinning in a ball, kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog would. I think the only way to hurt them is through a barrel, or like an animal buddy's projectiles, but I could be totally wrong. One thing to know about the music is that it is actually a remix of the classic Donkey Kong Country song. So, did I say Jungle Hijinks? I meant Jungle Jinx. I'm sorry. I guess every Donkey Kong Country game had a jungle archetype, huh? Like, I mean, the first stage in the first game was a jungle, so I guess that's actually not super far off. Regardless, oh man, that's not a good show of how I do here. Regardless, the stage in particular, it's okay. I think it's a lot easier if you have Dixie, like I do through most of the stage, because you can just kind of control how fast you're going left or right with the hair twirl. Whereas if you were Kitty, and only had Kitty, something like that, what just happened there, would have been a lot more difficult to avoid. So you don't really want any like involvement in that. You want to see if you can keep Dixie as much as possible. And that's about it for this one. We got our DK coin here. I was about to say it doesn't have anything to do with the conveyor ropes, but it actually does. I think that's actually kind of a neat little trick. I think we have at least half of the DK coins without even trying. Granted, I kind of have a knowledge of what they were before I started this Let's Play. So that affects things. I went to Baffled just because I felt like I should. He's the lamest detective ever. He doesn't even like talk like a noir detective, so there's no point to him. I mean, there is a point to him, but for the sake of style, let's say there's no point to him. Now, Creepy Caverns is a heck of a stage. We got these ghost barrels, which fans of Donkey Kong Country 2 will remember these ropes to the right there in Wispy Woods. And that was a pretty good stage. They were just like, hey, why don't we do that again, but with barrels, and also make them not be good. So to be fair, I didn't look into this too much, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but it seems like the pattern that these barrels are showing in is random, and the main challenge in Creepy Caverns is basically jumping into a ghost barrel without it pointing the wrong way. Otherwise, it's going to be shooting you somewhere else. Worst case scenario, it shoots you straight into a B. Or something like this where you just kind of have to time it right, which isn't that bad. But it sucks because it makes for a not very smooth gameplay experience. And you could find yourself waiting for a really long time. So you can get like the right barrel. Something like this. Like, this isn't that bad. It's just like, okay, well, I just gotta move forward. That's no big deal. I like the idea and concept. I just don't think they should have had the barrels point in random directions. Unless the random direction point... They could rotate, for sure, like if there's a pattern to it. But considering there doesn't seem to be a pattern, it makes it not as cool as it probably could have been. We have Squidder for a bit, which is alright. You know, he makes things a little bit easier. Take care of some of the zingers in the way. Although now that I'm kind of rewatching this video, he's really only good for taking care of one zinger, because all the other ones are red. And the only other reason you really need him is for this bonus here, that's sitting up here. You could just kind of brute force your way up. I mean, there's like a pattern to everything, but why would you? And as soon as I realized this was a bonus, I was like, I thought this would lead to like goodies, but I don't think. I decided not to be a part of it. I was actually pretty upset and surprised, because for one thing I lost Squidder, which I was like, well great, I don't have Squidder for the rest of the stage. But if we go down, there's the no Squidder sign, so you effectively have Squidder for all of 2 minutes. But what was even more surprising was the fact that I actually got hit during that bonus stage, and it didn't kick me out. It didn't kick me out until I fell down the pit. So I guess being hit in a bonus stage while you're on an animal buddy doesn't count for the whatever criteria causes that, and well, here's me getting hit by a bee. So you just kind of saw the worst case scenario happening right there. Oh, I think this is where a DK coin is? Yeah. I don't remember how I did this. Oh yeah, I gave this a couple of good shots. I think I get it eventually, but it's an odd puzzle because there's a lot of kind of relies on hitboxes a bit. Like, I think the delay, yeah, the delay in throwing is what you need to actually get to the other side. And even though that one particular instance of ghost barreling looks scary, it actually didn't really have any danger to it, I guess. I wonder if the sound file is different in the Super Nintendo version, because they don't have the same sound file as the ghost ropes. They sound a little bit, they're not as elongated. Regardless, that's Creepy Caverns. Here's something that I just decided to show off because I knew it off the top of my head. If you do a bit of a figure 8 swim here, you can open up the path to the sewers for a banana bird. Do you know what a banana bird is? If you want to see me getting a banana bird, there should have been I uploaded a bonus content video earlier this morning. It should be up on YouTube, which most of it is trash, but I'm fairly convinced that the joke I did for the very last minigame in that video is the funniest thing I've ever done for a Let's Play, even though it took no effort at all. Man, I didn't read the name of the stage here. I forgot what it's called. But we haven't seen one of these kinds of stages in a while. It's one of these oasis type stages. It's at night, and the main gimmick is basically just avoiding lightning. It's actually kind of scary. The lightning spawns in such a way where the game is trying to predict where you will be a couple of seconds before you're there. Like, it's like, okay, well, you're moving forward for the last 3 seconds, so in the next 3 seconds, you'll probably be here. It does a pretty good job of, like, catching you off guard. And be frighteningly effective in hitting you. You're kind of always... I guess it's a lot like the first Oasis stage, where you feel like you're racing against the clock. There's a bit of a race against nature here as well, instead of... Imagine if all the bees were electrified and... wanted to kill you forever. Of course, figures, when it comes to me actually getting hurt, it wasn't the lightning, but the gosh darn bees, or bugs, that are around here. Lightning is actually pretty useful for getting rid of some enemies. They can't beat the red zingers, but... Well, that shouldn't... Folks, that shouldn't have happened like that. Kiddy Kong is carrying a barrel in front of him, which should be a guaranteed shield for any enemy that's not indestructible. And yet somehow, Kiddy Kong got hurt. Now, this could either mean that this is because bugs are super powerful in the Donkey Kong universe, Or, more of a sober argument is that Kiddy Kong is just absolute trash. And I can't wait to leave him behind. Where were we? Oh yeah, the lightning. Yeah, the lightning can be used to hurt enemies. So you got any like green zingers flying above you, or some chubby birds above you? Well, you could use the lightning to get hurt as well as defeat your foes at the same time. Lightning can be fickle like that. Well, to be honest, it shouldn't. As someone who spends a fair amount of time around lightning, considering where I live, this is not exactly how it works. It's also very wimpy sounding lightning for how close it is. It is a bit of a freaky moment. These zingers are kind of like not in sync, so actually deciding when to make the jump is a little bit nerve-wracking, especially when you only have one Kong left. You don't get electrocuted on the flag post, which, thank goodness for that. Now, Coin Dozer Clamor, if you ask me, if you're gonna ask me if this is a good stage or not, it'll really just depend on what day of the week it is. Right now, I feel inclined to say that this stage is not bad. It's actually pretty clever, because you'll recognize these guys as the ones who carried the DK coins for us during the whole game. Except now they can actually hurt us, and we can't hurt them at all. They're using their shields as a weapon now. And if we stand to the side of them, they'll actually push us off to the edge. And usually, once they start pushing you, it's very difficult to get out of their push. So they're actually they're frighteningly effective enemies in that regard. It's actually kind of a scary stage, because if you screw up at all, you may as well just fall down. The hitboxes are kind of what make or break the stage, though, because hitting, you can see that, like, you know, I'm standing just fine when I'm on top of them, but if you come in from an angle, it could be a little bit difficult to determine. Excuse me. Coming in at an angle, it's kind of like a shot in the dark, whether you'll actually end up getting pushed away or not, or actually standing on a platform. That's a really stupid way to die. This whole video, I haven't been getting killed by the gimmicks of the stage. I've just been getting killed by my own incompetence, which think of that what you will. I don't know. I'm not about the self-deprecation, so. Besides that, not really much else to say about the stage. Is just gotta make sure that you're, I don't know, being pretty good about how you're landing on these guys. I like that they're purple. I think in the Super Nintendo version, their footsteps are a lot louder, and that's about all I could say about that. I decided not to go for this guy with the DK coin because he ended up being too much trouble. We're so close to the end of the stage anyway. I could have switched to Dixie to make this easier for me, but maybe I just wanted to show off. I feel like all these stages are really short. Like, I feel like the Kremlin Tower in DKC2, like Crook's Keep or whatever, that seemed to be a lot longer. And this is actually the last stage in the game, normal stage in the game. And its whole big gimmick is that you have reverse controls. So instead of going left, you're going right. And if you're going right, you're going left. Which, I mean, you get used to it pretty... It's the only time it's ever a problem is when you need to jump out of the water. And your brain has to take, like, that brief millisecond of being like, oh, I gotta go normal again. And then it's kind of like back to normal. I don't know, you know, it's just like... I guess that's just my problem with DKC3 as a whole. I think I mentioned very early on in the game that this game doesn't really have much of an identity, and I think it really shows here in this last world, because nothing about this feels very final worldy. And again, you could say, oh, well, the bonus world is supposed to be the final world, but if you were to play DKC2, you could have totally skipped the bonus world and would have came out with a pretty reasonable conclusion. With this, it kind of feels like there's something being rushed. I think maybe a bit of an insight into actually how the development for this game went, but it helps shed light on things. Because it is important to keep in mind that the Super Nintendo game, by the time this game was out, the N64 was out. So there's a lot, maybe there wasn't as much incentive of people, maybe the work was split up too much. Maybe the folks at Rare were so busy with like Banjo-Kazooie, DK64, and all those other Rare games, because Rare had a pretty big catalog for the N64, that Donkey Kong Country 3, not going to say it was a forgotten or they didn't care for it, but they just couldn't put the same amount of time into it as they could have for the second Donkey Kong game. The incentive wasn't there. Of course, as soon as I get hurt, you're going to see me going a lot slower now, so apologize for that, but at least I don't die. That's the good part. Or maybe I'm just right at the end already. Yeah, these stages are short. I never really realized that until just now. A lot of these feel really short. Granted, I am skipping all the bonuses, so that might have something to do with it. I mean, when it comes to the last DK coin, I mean, they have a... Boom! The trickiest puzzle of them all. I actually didn't think that was going to work. I was getting a little sweaty there. Great! So that's Poisonous Pipeline. And it's time to finish up this game with Castle Chaos. Nip this in the bud. So you might remember this guy. He was the Mechanos boss. And he's not that much different at first. He's kind of got the same pattern and everything. So you see K. Rool's whole area is kind of a mess. You know, he's a mad scientist now. So he's got a bunch of mad scientist stuff. Obviously, he is the one who built this crazy machine. And I kind of make the mistake of waiting for the blaze to come out, but you actually don't want the blaze to come out. What you want to do is actually throw barrels at the top of his head now, which is... you know, it's fine. You know, you just gotta know what you're doing and kind of like aim well. And then he loses his head, literally, and he turns into some strange Muppet monster, which I guess he was a Muppet monster before, but in this case, I can't really tell what I'm looking at. It looks like two big eyeballs that have like really red lines that are like coffee strained, but it could be something totally different. I'm not sure. That's my imagination speaking for me. Obviously, you know, more of these barrels coming in. I've really been screwing up on the hitboxes for this guy, so I just want to make sure I have it right. And that's it, we beat the game, or something. Chaos is down. Except he's not. Here's the man himself. So K. Rool has a wife, in case you didn't know. He's, you know, would love to see anything about that. I'm sure the DK Wiki or the Mario Wiki has more in-depth to explain what his married life is like. But I'm sure it's a very healthy relationship. Also, Dixie and Kiddy Kong are talking too. I would say, like, this is really weird, but this was apparent. My memory serves me that, like, this whole conversation, including the Scooby-Doo reference, was also in the Super Nintendo game. So I'm not gonna harp on it too much. They really phoned in the writing for this last part. Like, I don't even know why they bothered. It's like, well, we gotta have them talk. Why? It's like, because the N64 is out, and there's voice cutscenes. We gotta do something. I imagine that's what the conversation looks like. Anyway, I was a complete idiot during this boss fight, so I kind of died immediately. Luckily, when you get back in, you don't have to redo the chaos fight, thank God. It just kind of takes you straight to the beginning of this. And the majority of the K. Rool fight... woof. I've been trying not to yawn like this entire video, which is really rude. The majority of this K. Rool fight is trying to hit his back. I guess because his back has a little propeller, and that's like his sensitive spot. He has these little sound effects. If you're lucky enough, or like good enough with the barrels, you can have them drop on him. But again, you know, a lot of that is also up to like how the hitboxes, if they're in your favor, if they are in your favor or not. And the fight has a couple of phases too. So around this time is when he starts making the floor all crazy and zappy. It's pretty simple, you know, you just gotta like go back and forth among these levers and just avoid him and really hope that you don't miss hitting K. Rool with these barrels. As far as K. Rool boss fights go, this is I'm gonna say it's not my favorite. And I'm also disappointed because like this fight doesn't have any like final boss fight music, it's just a regular boss fight music, which is like so underwhelming. I hate it when that happens in a game. It's not just Donkey Kong Country 3 that does it. But if you want to talk about like, you know, phoning in like the last couple of... I don't want to say phoning in because that sounds so negative. But, you know, just having a poor final act for your product. Man, this is it. This is one of them. I wonder if... I don't know if the Super Nintendo version had a unique final boss fight. I don't know why... Yeah, it's weird. Because if they like went through all the effort of having a completely revised soundtrack, it's like they just didn't really care about this. Also don't really know what's going on in the background. It looks like a Doom stage, but I'm not gonna focus too much on that. Obviously, the fight is pretty self-explanatory, and I know I look very impressive doing this, but that's because you don't see me cutting out the several deaths I already took. You know, this is the last stage of the fight, I believe, and a lot of it is just kind of managing the interval of zaps at the bottom, with K. Rool floating around at the top. And the thing is, you want to time the barrel drop properly, because if you don't, like you see there, the barrel explodes. But there's not a lot of urgency going on here. K. Rool isn't actively going after you, he's just kind of floating around there. So if you're just patient, then this fight will go fine. And I mean, that's it. That's Donkey Kong Country 3. There's our good boys, Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong. Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong. Wow. That was... I talk about bad brain. And I guess Donkey Kong's brain was manipulated to be chaos? I wouldn't really ask about... I don't really want to go much more about that. Anyway, this game ends on probably the best note it can. Kiddy Kong and Dixie Kong surround Cranky and then fucking kill him with their super ape strength. And that's it. That's how Donkey Kong Country, the Donkey Kong Country canon ends. There hasn't been a Donkey Kong Country game after this, and this is the end of the Donkey Kong Country 3. Oh, this is DK's house. I never actually realized that. This is DK's house from the first game. That's a callback. Thanks for watching. You know, it was just a thing I wanted to do. This is an alright game. I got some beef with it, but nothing too serious. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope the original DKC 3 team still has work, because the video game industry What a rough place to work in, am I right? I'm not really going to tell you what's going to happen after this video in terms of the YouTube channel, because I'm bad at keeping promises. But it'll probably be something a little bit more involved. I just need to keep doing stuff to keep the video brain in check. If you enjoyed this, you haven't seen Donkey Kong Country 1 or 2 Let's Plays, recommend watching those as well. After the credits, we are ranked by the speedrunning community. We are a so-so simian. We have been beaten by Kirk, Verlinik, Work, and Tixa. And then there's us, there's Matt. That's where we rank on the DKC3 speedrun championships. Thanks for watching again, everyone. See you all next time, and whatever next time is. Deuces.